Good afternoon, everyone. This is Larry Levinson. I'm your trainer for this boot camp. And if you would, drop a note in the chat pane and let me know that you can hear me. The chat pane is over on your right. Marty, thanks. I'm hoping everybody else can hear too, Marty. We'll see. Also, let me know if you have a microphone because I've really designed this course to be interactive. So if you have a microphone and we're able to talk, that would be awesome. And if not, maybe by next week, everybody can have one. Hi, Carrie. Let's see. Kelly, Scott, are you here? Drop a note in the chat pane if you would. Okay, well, I'm assuming that the people here that can all hear, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm Larry Levinson. Again, you've got my email address and phone number. I'll give them to you also at the end of the presentation. And let me start by saying a couple things. I've been a marketing director and marketing agency owner for 5 years, have a lot of experience in marketing. I'm thrilled to be doing this program with Larkspur. This is really exciting for me. And I know that after the session, you're going to have some questions. And particularly as you go through the week and think about what we've covered here, you're going to have more questions. So I've set up flexible office hours, and the link is here on your screen. You can go to that link and book a call with me, and I'll spend up to 30 minutes with you answering questions. So I'm happy to do that. Please try to limit it to one call with me a week or less, but one call a week from everybody is fine. And I'm happy to help you with whatever. We can talk offline about your specific challenges, et cetera, et cetera. So let me get to the next slide here. Use the chat window in the right to send me comments and questions. The more comments and questions, the better. If you have a microphone, you're right, Kelly, I couldn't hear you, but we'll try again. If you have a microphone, go ahead and plug it in and let me know on the chat window that you're available by microphone, and then you can ask questions directly at some point here. We're recording each session, and the slides as well as the recording will be sent to you after each session. So I think that's all the details we need to cover. Excellent. So we're going to skip introductions and get right into it. I call this presentation Where to Hide a Dead Body. And I came across this title actually from a friend of mine who told me a joke one day, only it wasn't very funny. He said, "Where do you hide a dead body?" And I said, "I don't know, where?" And he said, "The third page of Google." And as I thought about it, that makes a lot of sense because almost nobody ever goes to the third page of Google, to say nothing of the fifth or sixth or 10th page of Google. We're all looking for whatever we're looking for to show up on the first page, preferably, but certainly in the first 2 pages. So that's where this title came from. And we're going to talk about some of the things that help you get to those first 2 pages of Google and drive more traffic for you, and then how to convert that traffic into good, high-quality leads. So here are the stats that support that, quote, joke. The third page of Google receives only 2.2% of clicks. The first 10 results, that's page 1 of Google, get 71% of all click-through traffic. So if you had any question about it, it's now pretty obvious that being on the first page of Google is pretty important. And I understand that in many communities, you're not the only financial advisor. So it becomes trickier and trickier how to do this. So when it comes to internet marketing, I've noticed that everybody has great advice. They'll tell you need to spend money on PPC, you need to do email marketing, you need to have a vision, you need to write a marketing plan, you need to make more phone calls, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do the other thing. It's really complex, but it doesn't have to be. And one of the things that I like to focus on is how our websites are really the core of all our internet marketing. So you can see that your email will link people to your website. You send out a notice that you've got a new article on the website, they'll go there. You send out just a regular email, and in the signature file, you've got a link to your website, and someone might go there. So email is an important component of getting people to your website. Social media is certainly an important component of getting people to your website. Press releases and PR, very important. Print advertising, our good old friend pay-per-click. I'm not necessarily in favor of that, but for certain applications, it's really useful. Other community marketing. If you drop your business cards somewhere, if you put out flyers, if you attend a Rotary luncheon and are the presenter there, that kind of community marketing is what that's speaking to. Local search, local marketing, that's for smaller communities in particular, that's really important because that helps you show up better in Google search and helps people find your location. So that's part of what can be on your website. And testimonials and reviews also bring people to your website. So all these things that you might have heard of before that people have suggested or that you think might be part of the deal, yeah, they are. All these things are part of how you get people to your website. Hang on just 1 second here. So marketing is about building relationships. Just because people are coming to your website doesn't mean you have a relationship. But we want to take all these different kinds of people and start a relationship with them. We want to start to become friends. We want to start to know a little bit about them and have them know a little bit more about us. I mean, after all, why would a stranger come to your website? Well, a stranger would come to your website because they're looking for the solution to some problem. When you think about it, when you do a Google search, you're searching for the solution to some problem or the answer to some question. And the people that are searching for your services work exactly the same way. They're looking for an answer to a problem. They're looking for an answer to a question. They're concerned about retirement. They're concerned about their 401k. They're concerned about the market. They're concerned about their divorce. They're concerned about something. And they're looking for answers. And it's our job as marketers, and I know I'm a marketer, but I know you're also wearing the hat of a marketer sometimes. It's our job as marketers to be able to provide answers to them right on our website so they can come and get to know us, see that we have answers, and we can start a relationship. So how do we get these strangers to find your website? I've mentioned some of the ways, or hinted at them anyway, with emails and whatnot, but let's dig into it a little bit deeper. The new method of internet marketing really has 4 stages. The first one is attract. You want to attract people to your website and convert them into visitors. So people from any of these areas or others could all come to your website. You want them to do something that turns them into new relationships for you. So one way to do that is to put content on your website that answers their questions. And we're going to talk about that more in a few minutes. So if I have a question about retirement planning and you have the answer to my question, I put my question into Google, I get to your website, I'm excited. Someone here locally has the answer to my question. This is good news to me. So that's attracting someone to a website. Some of the tools you use for that are your blog, if you have one, social media, keywords, that would be search engines, and pages. So once I get to your website, what do you want me to do? You have to tell me what there is to do. I'm not going to search your whole website to find out, okay, now that I've got the answer to my question, what should I do next? You have to tell me. And that's the convert phase. So convert phase, we want to take our visitors and convert them into leads. So what do I mean by a lead? All I mean is that you've got a name and an email address. You don't know anything about them, maybe, except a name, at least a name and an email address. I should say it that way. And they become a lead. They're not yet a hot lead. They're just a lead. Scott, thanks for your question. I'll get to it in a few minutes. So converting that visitor to a lead is the topic of next week's session. But we'll be talking about things like call to action and landing pages and forms. And we're not going to get way into web developer details about these things, but you need to have an understanding of how these things work together and what the purpose of them is so that you can start to implement them on your own website or improve the ones that are already there. So what do I mean by tell me what to do? These are some examples. Download the report now. That's telling me what to do. Grab your coupon. Obviously, probably not for your business. Click here to tweet, register for the webinar, register for whatever. These are examples of calls to action. Tell me what to do. And then help me do it. So the prospect comes to your website and they come to your web page. This is all kind of diagrammed out here. They see your great call to action, in this case for a free ebook. It takes them to the landing page, which tells them the benefits of getting that ebook. And on that landing page is a form that they fill out with their first name, last name, and email address. Click submit. You've got a lead, and they've got a valuable piece of information from you that showcases your expertise. Why do I say that? Because your ebook answered some of their questions. And they were looking for an expert to answer their questions, and now you've become that expert. Then it's the close. Everybody knows about the close. That's the sales part of our jobs. Email, workflow, CRM integrations, lots of things come into the close. But basically, it's taking that lead and helping them become a customer. So there may be lots of internal steps along the way, but we're looking at the big picture from the marketing point of view. So then once they become a customer, you may not talk to them real regularly. Once, initially, of course, they're going to be in your office. They're going to be on the phone with you. They're going to be asking questions. You're going to be setting things up for them, taking care of their immediate needs. But then what? Then we get into the fourth stage of marketing. And this is where I see most people drop the ball. It's the delight phase. And you may think that's weird or funny, but it's critical for client retention. You want your clients delighted. So some of the tools that we use for those are email, calls to action again, social media, variety of different tools. We want to turn those customers into promoters so that when you ask them, hey, who do you know that could use my services? They go, funny you should ask. My neighbor Bob and Lucy, they were just talking to me the other day about this. That's what you want to turn your customers into. That's delighting your customers. Because if they're delighted, they'll tell people. And believe me, if they're not delighted, they'll also tell people. So you'd rather have them on this side of the coin. So what would delight your clients? It's going to be different for each one of you. You need to think about it. I've been to several financial advisor seminars. I can tell you most of them, I was not delighted even in the seminar. But a couple of them, I was. I was cordially welcomed by actually several people. There was some nice food. I don't think it was quite this nice, but there was some nice food. And we were encouraged to talk at our separate tables about why we were there and what's going on. So I got to meet some new people. And the presenter really seemed to know what he was talking about. So that really got that relationship off on the right foot. But think about what would delight your clients, because they're all different. And it won't be one answer for everybody. They're not all going to go to a seminar like I did. Some might go to a webinar. Some might read an ebook. Some might think that just getting a thank you message as an email would delight them. For some, maybe it's a fruit basket. It's Christmas, whatever. Think about what would delight your clients. So now, did I go the wrong way? Yeah, so that was delight. So now, like Bill Murray says, you're kidding, right? That's a lot of work. Well, yes, it is. I am not going to kid you. There's a lot of work to do marketing and do it well. However, I know that's not your main job. And there are ways to get your marketing done in just a few hours a week and really do a great job at it. And we're going to cover that in future sessions. But first, we have to kind of go through all the pieces so you understand what they all are. And, if you don't want to do the work, that's okay. But the other option is to be buried and never seen, harkening back to where you hide a dead body. So if you want to be found, if you want to increase your lead flow, if you want to increase your qualified lead flow, you really have to be doing marketing, and you have to be pretty smart about how you're doing it so you're not spending all day at it. So let's answer some questions. If you have a mic, let me know in the chat pane and I'll turn you on and we can talk. If you don't have a mic, put questions in the chat pane and let's see where we go. So Scott asks, why is this? I can no longer get relative information. I have to suffer through a lot of garbage to get my information because they are adept at getting on the first page. Scott, I'm not quite sure what you mean, but it sounds like you're talking about all the information that you get probably via email about how to get first page listings on Google. And most of that is garbage. So I get those phone calls a lot. I get probably a couple a week, and I hang up on all of them because no one's going to be able to get you first page listings on Google in some situations. In other situations, it might be easy. Let me give you an example. If I'm a financial advisor here in the town I live, where there's 100,000 people in my marketing area, my statistical marketing area here, I might be able to get first page in Google because we're kind of a backwater town, except for one friend of mine. None of the financial advisors here are doing much marketing online. And so it might be really possible to get front page of Google and do it really quickly. However, if I'm in Los Angeles, not so fast. You're going to have to be very creative to get the front page of Google. So these guys definitely aren't going to do the work required. They're going to run you through a formula and then say, oh, well, it didn't work for you. But we've got your money. So anyway, Scott, I hope that responds to your question. Let's see. Yeah, keywords. There's a question about keywords. Keywords play a really relevant part of this, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on SEO because that's a pretty in-depth subject. But basically, keywords, first of all, let me back up. Keywords, don't use them anymore. Key phrases, absolutely use them. Let me explain the difference. When people talk about keywords, they're usually talking about things like financial advisor. Financial advisor is great, but it's not very specific. A better phrase would be something like financial advisor retirement planning. So that keyword phrase becomes something that you should use on your website if that's one of the phrases if that's one of your targets. Let me give you a really, I wasn't going to do this, but I will. A really simple way let me get out of my slides for just a minute. A really simple way, since keywords have come up, to tell, this is going to be magic, are you ready? To tell what people are looking for. You want to know what those questions are people are trying to find answers for. So let me give you a really simple way to do that. And actually, this works surprisingly well. You go to Google, and let's say I'm searching for financial advisor, I can't spell either, in Phoenix. All right, so here's my listing of financial advisors in Phoenix. If any of you are in Phoenix and are on this page, good for you. We're not going to stop and talk about that. However, let's talk about keywords. At the bottom of the screen, you can see searches related to financial advisor Phoenix. These are searches that people have actually been making. So a couple things become apparent. 1, 2, 3, 4 of these, 5 of these have the city name in them. That's a good clue. You should put your city name in your keyword phrases. Some of them don't say financial advisor. They kind of take other angles like financial planner or fiduciary or asset management or financial planning, different from financial advisor. So these are keywords. Okay, keyword phrases. Let's go one step further. Let's say that financial planning is really what we do. We want to find out a little more about that. So let's click on Financial Planners Phoenix. Okay, so that's our next search term for Google. We're doing a little research here. We again scroll to the bottom of the page. Guess what? We got 8 more phrases we could work with. There's some repeats here too, I see. So you can use this as a research tool and start to figure out what's working, because these aren't keywords someone planted there. These are key phrases that people are actually searching for. So enough people are searching for Scottsdale retirement planners that it made it to this list. This isn't like Billy Bob entered it once and he's the only person in the country that ever did that. These are heavily searched keyword phrases. They're the kinds of phrases you want to start using. So Scott, I hope that's really helpful about keywords. Bill, you asked about getting a recording. Yes, there will be a recording sent out to you within 24 hours after each session. And also there'll be an email that'll go out hopefully within an hour after each session that'll have some other resources and homework for you. And we'll talk about the homework in a minute. Let's see, what other questions you guys have? Or Kelly, let's see, Kelly, you have the microphone. Do you want to ask a question, Kelly? Because I can make you a presenter and you can ask a question. Okay, so I have a request, gang. I request that by next week, each of you get a microphone. I don't want to see you. You don't want to see me. That's fine. Get a microphone, because these classes are designed to be didactic. They're designed to be conversational. And chat is okay, but a microphone's way better. All right, Kelly, so let me get you switched in as a presenter here. Give me just a minute. My screen just got a little strange. Okay, this is a fail. Kelly, I'm going to have to ask you to type for today. We'll get this fixed for next time. All right, Kelly, if you come up with a question. Oh, there you go. Great. Kelly says, are you saying that if I have those keywords in my website, then they may show up in more Google searches. Yes, that's what I'm saying. And I like your use of the word may, because there's a lot of factors that are going to go into there. We're going to talk about some of them. But yes, you want to use the searches that people are you want to use the keyword phrases that people are actually searching for. So this is a trick I learned. It's so obvious once you see it, but not very many people use it. So if you can look through those things that are at the bottom of the search page, find things that apply to you, dig a little deeper. I usually go, for any search term I like, I usually go down about 3 clicks and see if there's anything else in there that I like. And I make a spreadsheet that lists all those things. And then I kind of parse them down into, well, what's going to work for me and what's not. For example, if I'm not a financial planner, I'm more the stockbroker guy, then the financial planning ones really don't work for me. But I also look for how can I combine pieces of those phrases into new phrases. So the obvious one is city. Every time we saw Scottsdale there, it could have been whatever your city name is. Does that make sense? I'm hoping it does. All right, so this is where I really wanted microphones. Scott says, did not have a website. So much of this is dependent on having one. Suggestions for getting up and running. Yes, that's perfect. It's a segue, Scott, right into this. So if you don't have a website, you can get up and running with email. You can get up and running with social media. You can get up and running with press releases, print advertising. I'm not recommending all, but pick what works for you. Other community marketing, certainly. Reviews and testimonials, start gathering them. You'll need them later. But I would personally, if I were new in the industry, I'd get started with community marketing, social media, and email. So you think about that, Scott. We're going to talk more about each of those things as we go through this course. So in the chat pane, well, in this window, you can see the model again of all the different things that can contribute to people coming to your website. So I'd like to hear in the chat pane, and then I'll echo out to you guys, what's working for you? Of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things, or maybe there's a 9th thing that you do. What's working for you? For example, if social media is really driving quality traffic for you and you're getting some business out of that, let's hear about it. If email is driving quality traffic to your website or to you if you don't have a website, and is working well, let's hear about it. I want to know what's working for you, and we'll share that with everybody. Scott, we can talk offline about your website. Kelly says sharing articles on LinkedIn. Awesome, Kelly. Great tactic. So LinkedIn, you can publish entire articles there, and you can target who gets them. And you can join groups on LinkedIn of people that are your target audience. LinkedIn is an amazing tool for financial planners. I think it's my favorite social media tool for financial planning, financial advisors. Marty says, we use Constant Contact and provide a weekly commentary that draws some action to the website. Excellent. Great idea, Marty. And I love the weekly part. I think that's fairly unusual in my experience anyway. Mostly people do a monthly because I say it's too much work to do a weekly. So it's good to know weekly's working for you. Kelly uses Google Trends to find the hot trends on Google and then shares topics based on that search. So if you Google Trends, you'll see what she does. Or if you Google how to use Google Trends, you'll see what she does. Great, Kelly. Carrie offers free publications and seminars. Carrie, I'd be really interested to find out a little more about your free publications. Are these things that you or your agency has written? Or are these things that you've acquired elsewhere? How did these offerings come into being? Written by the agency. Perfect. And so that's a great way to bring traffic. And when you use a landing page with a form in front of that ebook, let's call it, that article, set of articles, whatever, then people have to give up their name and email address to get the goodies. And they get great value out of it. And you get great value because now you know who they are. And if you set up your forms right and your offer right, you actually know what they're interested in. And that's exactly where we're going to pick up next week. Let's see. Go back into presentation mode here. Keep the questions coming if you have them. I'm going to keep moving on, but I'll keep an eye on the chat pane. All right. So how do you know what people's issues are? How do you know what questions they're asking? How do you know what they're searching for on Google? It's really, really, really easy. So easy that most people don't do it, which is going to give you a leg up here. Make a list, not on my slide, please, but make a list on something at your desk of the 10 questions that you most often get from people who are looking for your services. 10 questions you most often get. I'll give you a few seconds to jot a few down or think about a few of them. And part of your homework is going to be to complete the list of 10. So things like, I'm 40 years old and I've been contributing to a 401k for 5 years. What happens if I change companies? Maybe that's a question you get asked. Or things like, there's just been a death in the family. What do we do about fill in the blank? Whoever asked that question. One of the questions might be, how do you charge for services? So think about the questions that people actually ask you, not the questions we think they should be asking. That's often a very different list. But the questions people are actually asking you. And if you don't feel that you can come up with 10 now, that's okay. During the week, keep that piece of paper available. And as people ask you questions, jot them down. And you'll probably have 20 of them by the end of a week. I mean, it's amazing how many questions people ask us. Okay, so let's hear a few of what you think are your top 10 questions. So just put in the chat pane one or two that you get a lot. And I'll, again, share them back out. This is why we really need the microphone thing. Best way to save for college. What's the best way to save for college? Can I retire now? Thanks, Scott. Kelly had the college one. What else? Hey, can you give me some investment tips? Yep, I'm sure that's a common one. Oh, should I invest in fill in the blank? Yep, I'm sure that one's common. I think I've asked that one myself. Do you have a minimum? A minimum of what? A minimum. Oh, what's the low end, low financial end of people you'll work with? Is that what you're saying, Kelly? A minimum account size. Got it. Yep. So do you have a minimum account size you work with? Perfect question. I love these questions. This is great. Oh, should I get a Roth or a traditional IRA? What's the difference between them? Does the practice have a minimum account size? How late are you open? Do you have weekend hours? How available are you going to be when I have a question? Do I have to meet with you in person, or can we talk over the phone? What if I am not happy with the results I'm getting? Are you single? Just kidding. Thank you, Scott. How much do you charge for your services? Right? So it's really pretty easy to come up with the top 10 questions. All right, so here's what you do with them. You complete your top 10 questions that you get asked. Listen for more questions this week and write them down. So like I said, you may have 20 questions at the end of the week. It wouldn't surprise me a bit. For each of your 10 questions, think about how you can provide a quick answer. Now, I don't mean on the phone. Obviously, you could tell me on the phone or in an email. But let's think of something that you only have to create once that'll provide the answer for you. So it could be a short ebook. Could be a one-page ebook for that matter. It could be a checklist. Can I retire now? Here's your checklist. Give up your name and email address, and you can download this checklist. It could be a short article. It could be an article you publish on LinkedIn that answers these questions. Oh, the answer is one of the questions. It could be an ebook, so it could be something else entirely. But think about, for each of your 10 questions, what could you provide that would be relatively easy for you or your team to produce? We don't want to go into creating a crazy workload for you. And that you could produce in a relatively short amount of time that would answer that question once and for all, and you wouldn't have to deal with it again. Unless you're face-to-face, of course. And then start thinking about, what can you do this week to make improvements in your marketing? And think small. Don't think huge. It may take a redesign of your website. That's more on the scale of huge, for most of you anyway. So we're not talking about that at this point. We're talking about thinking small. What's one or two or three things that you could do that would make a change in your marketing, that would improve things? Maybe it's take that monthly newsletter and consider how it could be a weekly or semi-monthly newsletter. Maybe it's taking some of that feed of information that I know each of you get from various sources and compiling it into something that you can send out weekly. Maybe it's doing a little public speaking at Rotary clubs. Doesn't all have to be digital. But your homework is to come up with some ideas for how you can make improvements in your marketing. Sorry. And I'm giving you some resources here. No, you don't have to very quickly now go click on each one of them, because I'm going to send them to you in an email in a little bit. But these are a variety of different things. I've tried to cater to some different interests and different needs about getting started in marketing, using leads in marketing, and generating high quality leads. So one that I particularly like is this, why you should start a financial advisor blog and how to do it, from Blue Leaf. That's really an awesome article. And also the secret sauce for generating sales leads, I thought was really, really good. But look through these, and some you'll like, some you'll pass. That's fine. There's no test. I'm not going to ask you about them next week, but I want to provide each week a variety of resources for you on the topic that we're discussing, so you can do some more reading and some more thinking about how you can apply some of these things in your situation, in your agency. And next week, I call next week Knock Knock Who's There. We're going to dive into how to capture the names and emails from people coming to your site without annoying them. You definitely don't want to annoy them. And many of us do annoy them on our websites. And I'll give you a bunch of examples. You'll see exactly what I mean. And I know I will not go to your website and grade it. If you want me to do that on a one-on-one basis during a call, I'd be happy to. But that's not what we're going to do here as a group. So this one's been short this week, and part of that is that I had a lot of time built in for conversation which is a little kludgy through the chat. So let's next week, please, everybody get a microphone. If you don't know where to get a microphone, ask someone or just go to Amazon. And then we'll be set up so we can all talk and share. This is a small group. It was designed for interaction. So it'll be a lot more interesting if we can all talk and kick around some ideas and some situations. So unless anyone has other questions, feel free to contact Larkspur Data with questions, contact me with questions. We'd both be happy to work with you, no problem. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you very much.